Yeah, go for it.
Hello and welcome to the Purdue Basketball Beat. It's just Michael and Anish today because Andy is dead. So
Rest in peace.
rest in peace. He'll be back
He'll
next
be
week. My 8-month-old is filling in for Andy. So
That's true.
We'll see if she makes the same inappropriate jokes that he does.
See, exactly right.
Exactly.
She's already committed.
That's a little too much. Okay, you need to tone it down.
She's contributed more than Andy usually does. Let's be real here.
So this is the most exciting time to be a sports fan right before the season starts.
Yes.
For most teams, it's all downhill after this.
Actually, in fact, there is a good chance that for this team, the best we will ever feel is right now, because there's a lot of stuff. As much as we feel okay as Purdue fans, there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like maybe our starting center is not playing with the team for some reason.
Okay, so I am like projecting calm. Like I published my AJ Hammonds thing today. Like I was pretty calm. I was like, whatever. On Twitter, I'm like, he's gonna be fine.
Relax, gosh.
It's gonna be okay. I'm panicking on the inside.
Are you really?
I'm a little bit, because I have like tripled down on AJ stock. Like I owned.
You have been running your mouth quite a bit about AJ.
Like I think he's going to be the clear go-to option on this team, and I don't think that this suspension really changes much of that.
Not suspended.
He's not suspended.
He was held out of play, but he has not been suspended.
But
listen, I think here's the thing with Hammonds. Basketball is not the center of his universe. It's never been. It never will be. He is who he is, and that's going to drive your coach nuts when the thing that's most beneficial to your team is if you prioritize basketball over everything else. And I'm sure something happened, school, basketball related, interpersonal relationship related, something happened, and it'll blow over. It always blows over. There's something like this that happens every year, and it just kind of is what it is at this point. I don't think it's going to affect his play on the court.
No, and from most accounts, it doesn't seem like it's too much of a serious issue or something like that.
Right.
Which is why I'm not too worried. And if he misses, the first game against Directional State, like it doesn't really matter. But it's just more like it kind of dampens this whole parade that we're supposed to be having before the season, right? Like,
should we be having a parade?
I think I've already thrown the parade, so I think it's too late.
Then good, so that I can wrap the fan base in this extra large wet blanket that I've brought. I think Purdue can be very good.
So wait, hold on. Before we move on, do you think let's get like closure on this? Do you think AJ is going to miss any games at all?
No.
Okay. I don't think so either. I think if he misses any time, it's going to be 1/2 against North Carolina A&T. I think if the scrimmages and this preseason game hadn't happened, I don't think the public would know about this. Like this would kind of be an internal thing, but whatever. I don't think he's going to miss any more than 1/2 either. But okay, go ahead. This team has expectations.
This team can be very good. This team can be Elite Eight, maybe if the cards draw correctly, Final Four quality. But there are still a lot of assumptions being made, right? Like shooting, for example, we've heard for the last 2 years that this is a good shooting team that has not shot the ball well. You need to do it, right? You need to be more consistent. AJ Hammonds needs to be more consistent. Point guard play is still sort of up in the air. I think there's a lot of reasons to be really excited, but I don't think we should be carving out room for a banner quite yet.
Does point guard play really matter? Honestly,
yes, it always matters.
Why?
Because the point guard is more important, I think, on defense than on offense. Because the point guard is who picks up the ball at the opposite baseline, who slows the matriculation of the other team's point guard, who prevents them from getting into their sets, who is responsible for guarding, that region on the perimeter. There's a lot of defensive responsibilities that point guards in Purdue's system have. Like on offense, it's about ball movement and stuff like that. But on defense, it really is up to the point guard.
Okay, yeah. So a little behind the scenes, and Mike is gonna go take care of Childs. He can still hear me, but whatever. But yeah, no, So one thing that I have, like one kind of issue that I have with that, um, is that I really don't think. First of all, offensively, I don't think the point guard matters. I think all the point guard has to do is initiate the offense, which means in this case, getting it to either Vince Edwards or Caleb Swanigan. Defensively, I think I agree. Defensively is where I have a concern. I do think that Purdue's defensive efficiency isn't going to be what Purdue fans are really used to. I think I don't think we're going to be a great defensive team. I think AJ is going to have a ridiculously high defensive impact because when he's off the floor, we don't have many great perimeter defenders. And the only rim protector we have is AJ. So I think AJ's on-off defensive numbers are going to show a lot. That has to do with point guard play. But I think this team's success is going to be offensive.
So what about Swanigan guarding the 4? Is that a concern for you?
Defense is a huge concern. Defense, like in general, outside of AJ Hammonds.
Just outside in Davis, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how good one perimeter defender can be on his own, right? But yeah, I'm not concerned with Davis.
So team defense.
Yeah. General communication.
Okay, so offensively, when has Purdue ever been like an offensive powerhouse?
I think this is going to be a really weird team. Like I think this is going to be unlike any Matt Painter team before. Except for the slow pace. I think we're still going to play with relative like slow pace. I think I've projected us to be, like 70th in pace in the country, and that's with the old 35-second shot clock. So that's like what all of my stat projections were based on. But I think this is going to be a weird team. I think this is going to be an offensive team. And we're going to have to outscore the opponent. And it's going to be weird. We're not going to get stops, I don't think.
Well, one positive thing, we've already mentioned his name a couple of times. Swanigan getting cleared by the NCAA. I'd like to congratulate the NCAA by making a decision with 2 weeks before the season started. That was really a special moment.
It's insane.
For us.
I mean, we touched on it last week. It's insane that it took this long. I get that you have to investigate it. It's insane it took this long. It's also insane that another recruit that Purdue was looking at, Taco Fall, is still not cleared.
Yes. You're really doing a disservice to the student athlete by not making a decision by August. I think by August.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if it's a manpower issue, it's a manpower issue. If it's a bureaucratic issue, then that needs to be addressed. But, I mean, the NCAA is, according to the NCAA, in existence in service of the student athlete.
We all know. Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to make claims like that, then you need to back it up. But at least he got cleared without any real trauma.
Swanigan, yeah. I mean, like, I don't think it was really ever in doubt. I think it just took a really long time to do. And then it took Matt Painter actually putting it out into the public. I think that was a pretty savvy PR move. Like, Matt Painter put it out into the public so that there was some public pressure from people like Jason King, Andy Katz, Jeff Goodman, like all of these people who generally like Coach Painter. So it was a good move on him. I know you didn't watch the Northwest Ohio game because you're intelligent. You don't pay for like BS Big Ten Network.
I have the last 4 years done.
Wait until your baby is 1 year old before you say you're done. I think a 1 year old baby, you're not going to really care that much. You'll throw the money that way. You won't need that many diapers anymore.
Yeah, they stopped wearing diapers at 1.
I don't know. That's how it works, right? Like they potty training happens at like 11 months, right? Like they
Yeah,
speak their first
exactly.
word and then they sit
Yeah,
on the
because they talk in 11 months. Yes.
Yeah, sure. They're in sentences by then, right?
Full
They're writing.
sentences. They can write their name.
Listen, back in my day, I got my first job when I was 18 months. Okay, so yeah, I had to
Man,
go. I had to
kids these days. My son was 2 before he got his first job.
listen. And I bet
Just so everyone knows, Anish was a double major, and one of them was early childhood development.
that is true. Yes, I know everything there is to know about childs.
But regardless, spending money to watch BTN Plus is a stupid thing to do.
Yeah,
So tell us,
I do it.
explain your decision.
I
Were you
wanted
even
to
able?
watch.
Were you even able to watch the game? The last year I bought it, the streams were terrible.
So if it didn't cost me extra money, I would be totally like praising Big Ten this year because there were no interruptions. I love their interface. I've always said this. I love the Big Ten's like digital interface. I like how you can like rewind 10 seconds, you can fast forward 10 seconds, you can slow it down. ESPN, you can't do any of that. I think it's really good. I thought the announcers this time were
Tommy
better.
Barrett and who was the other guy?
I don't know, because Clayton Gathers. I don't know. That's a baseball player.
Barrett's
Right?
been doing it for a couple of years, and he's been getting better. He's really good. I like him.
He's better.
Pretty
The
good.
Connor, yeah. I don't know. Connor something. I should know his name. It's in the recap that I wrote. I thought they were good. I thought they were fine. They're typical student like announcers, and that's okay.
Learning how to do stuff. It's good.
But you're making me pay extra for it, and it's really not that great. Like it's not great enough that you're providing me with this much, benefit. But whatever. I thought Swanigan looked really good. I mean, like again, playing directional Ohio. But I thought Swanigan looked really good. I thought Vince looked like a different player.
In what way? In what way did he look different?
He looked athletic. He looked really athletic, and you know how he could float in and out of games. It was a preseason game, and he wasn't really floating in and out. I mean, his facilitating was great. His shot was there. He's a very aggressive. Isaac Haas played all of the starters' minutes. I think your daughter agrees with me there. She's a Vince fan.
She's a big Vince Edwards fan. Yeah.
You named her Vince Edwards. What a
coincidence!
I
did. I had to fight with my wife on that one, but did some horse trading and ended up with Vince Edwards.
I don't know, it's a beautiful name. It's a beautiful name.
It really rolls off the tongue.
The interplay between Swanigan and Haas was awesome. Like the passing between a guy who's a brilliant passer from the top of the key into a guy in the post who doesn't ever hesitate before he makes a move. That works out really well. I don't think any bench unit, I don't think any backup center can hold a candle to that matchup. So I think we'll see a lot of Swanigan and Haas pairing, and then I think we're going to see a lot of AJ and Vince. I'm not sure we'll see much of the other way because I don't see too much of a fit or ideal fit, but I really do think those two will play a lot. And then,
are you watching the game on Friday?
Sorry, say it again.
Are you watching the game on Friday?
Yes, I will be.
All right. So that'll be interesting to see Hammonds and Swanigan, assuming Hammonds plays, which I don't know, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, play together in a game situation.
Oh, for sure. And I think they'll be fine, and I think they're going to be the ones to start and end games, but I think a lot of the substitution patterns will be geared towards having only one of them on the floor until the end. When they're you bring out all your full guns, you leave Vince on the floor, and you bring Swanigan on, leave AJ on the floor, or Haas, whoever has it going. And yeah, that front court I think is going to be one of like the three best in the country. Like I think I don't think that's where we see any, and also Jaquil Taylor looks like an energy guy. Like he looks like a real energy guy. Muscle watch, he added like apparently 25 pounds of muscle in the offseason. He actually does look like he's added a good amount. But
shout out to the Purdue strength and conditioning staff.
Josh Bonthal.
I didn't use his name because I don't know how to pronounce it, but he puts out great videos on Instagram He put one out of Basil squatting like 620.
Yeah, I think it was like over 600 pounds. That's insane. All he's going to do is lift boulders in the off season or in the entire season because he's redshirting, and we'll talk about that. And then just be absolutely insane for his next 2 years. I'm super excited. I always love Basil though. So
yeah, so it'll be good. Speaking of redshirting, so the squad is set.
Yeah,
and we've got 3 red shirts and one red guy that we thought was going to redshirt, but turned out to not redshirt. So our red shirts are Smotherman, which will be a bit of a surprise. I bet that gets talked about quite a bit. Weatherford, which is not really a surprise at all, and then John McKinnon, who's got the injury that he's recovering from.
That's right. I forgot about it. I forgot about John McKeeman.
Don't forget about John McKeeman.
I can't. ESPN put him on the roster last year twice, so how am I supposed to forget about him?
It did, just because of people like you.
I know. Yeah, that's it. I pay attention to things like this because this is what I do with my free time.
This is what because he doesn't have kids at his feet.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, you do this with your free time with kids at your feet. That makes you. That's expert parenting.
That's very parenting. And then Klein, who I really thought was going to redshirt, is not going to redshirt, and I think this is kind of a little bit of a controversial decision.
I think Weatherford redshirting while Klein doesn't is very interesting. I think in the abstract, Weatherford doesn't seem to be ready for Big Ten play. If he gets, not happy with Weatherford.
She supports all Purdue players and doesn't really like it when you talk smack about it.
I understand, but see, listen, somebody's got to be the Skip Bayless of Purdue.
Yes, you just see the emails this guy sends me, just like Skip.
But Weatherford, in the abstract, Weatherford not ready for Big Ten play, and this team is super deep. He's not going to get that much playing time. Basil, we already talked about last week, and Ryan Klein playing means that we might not get an extra year, but he is super ready this year, and so he's. I really do think that he can be a contributor, but when you look, in the long term, this might not be the best decision. This is the best decision because apparently Coach Painter thinks that we can go for it this year. Go for a Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four run this year. The team is talented enough, and that's why Klein seems to be too good to just keep on the bench. He's shooting with Matthias's injury concerns and Kendall Stevens' injury concerns. Having another shooter is always great. But in, 4 years from now, in 2019, 2020, or 2020, 2021, we're not going to have Klein. We're going to have an extra scholarship. It's going to be for Weatherford, and is Weatherford going to be worth it? Then I'm not quite sure.
I think the Painter is making a bet that Klein is a good enough shooter that he can impact games this season. And like you said, this is the year to go for it. But, I mean, I think he is an amazing shooter. But shooting in college ball is going to be a little bit different. He's going to struggle as a freshman at some point.
He went 0 for 6. I mean, again, this doesn't really matter, but he went 0 for 6 in the exhibition. And so that kind of shows that he that kind of shows that he might have the normal freshman, bumps, but what are you going to do?
He's a competitive player. So if he can sort of work through that in the non-conference season, and then by the time Big Ten play comes around, and if he could be a solid contributor in Big Ten play in 8 to 10 minutes a game, maybe it is worth it to have a guy out there who can shoot. And can hopefully play a little bit of defense.
So the way that the Golden Black guys kind of put it was, if he wins you one game in March, it's worth it, right? I mean, if he catches fire and wins one game in March, it is absolutely a great decision. And yeah, I think it'd be great. I'm kind of concerned because I'm all in on Kendall Stevens, but
You're all in on much of Purdue's roster.
I'm relatively low on Matthias.
Yeah.
I'm low on Haas this year.
Okay.
But looking at him in the first game, I might have been absolutely wrong. And I don't know who else is on the roster. The point guards generally, I don't think will matter. I really don't think the point guards will matter. I think Hill isn't going. I don't know. I'm not high on Hill being a super great fit, but we'll see.
So what makes you say that about Hill?
I don't know. This is a super deep team. Like last year, this team needed another wing, and hold on. I think we're both getting text messages from the old guys, so maybe we should try to add them. But
the old guys are texting us, which they figured out how to use text messages.
I don't get it.
This is really exciting.
It really is. It's fantastic. Like I can't believe that they can navigate technology.
Yeah. So now there's no excuse for them not to figure out how to. What? There he is. Oh. We got them both.
Hey, that hot tub looks like it has room in it.
Hey, do you guys have an extra brew for us too? We didn't bring any beer, but we'll drink yours.
So I'd like to issue a direct thank you to Dowd for not being under a bridge this time while he is recording or at the bottom of a well, and I would ask Justin to move away from the microphone and not be inside of the computer.
Okay.
It's a little close. It's a little close. I just feel like I could just be a little.
Right now? No, he's referring to the crappy recording job we did last time.
You did a bad job.
The content was great.
There's a baby crying. This is like The Hangover.
Yes, there is a baby.
I mean, a baby in the closet. There's a fucking tiger in the bathroom.
No, so that is young Vince Edwards Henry. We have already named the baby. It was so nice of.
Say hello to Vince.
There's Vince Edwards. Hey, baby.
Vince is actually a girl.
I was gonna say I don't think I knew you had another little one. How many do you have now, Michael? Like 7? Don't you guys do it for fun anymore?
Always utilitarian.
Well, I was raised
every 10 months.
The baby is sick of your shit, Justin.
Did we wreck your flow? I'm just curious. Did we?
So
when you start getting on Matthias, it sent a bat signal up on him.
Both of us were looking at our phones trying to make our points.
I know.
And
I think ruined it.
You know, well, I mean, that's generally what you guys do when you join the.
Well, we're not capable.
All it means with you guys joining is that the editing process is just going to take a much longer.
A lot harder.
This is
all good. This is all good material.
No, yeah, this is
good. This is fine.
The stuff before this was junk.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I watched for a little while. I was going to peer in and see what you guys.
Let's get you guys' quick thoughts on what we've talked about. Quick takes on the Hammond situation. Or no, first let's go start with the easier one.
Your hair looks excellent. Is that what you asked for?
Thank you. Thank you. Look at that. You're jealous.
It looks so good. Yes. Your hair looks so flat. So nice.
What's the easier one? I want to get to business here. What's the easier one?
Caleb Swanigan being cleared and generally looking good. What do you think?
He's got a future. I don't know. I was like a Purdue fan. I was like an old Purdue fan. I was looking at it all the excitement we all had, and we sort of talked about this in the past, right? I was like, should I get this excited? Do I really want to get this? He's a freshman, right? There's no. I don't want to be wow, he could be this. He could solve any problems, any gaps there were. Now we have him, and I hate to do that because it's a freshman, right? But the little bits that we've seen, he's just a man-child, and he could still be growing. He's 18 years old, right?
Yeah. He's got a 7'5" wingspan.
And he's what? What is he? 6'10"?
Yeah, he's like 6'8". He's like
6'8".
Right, so having a 7'5" wingspan is amazing.
Yeah.
Because like usually your wingspan is like your height, isn't it? You typically the way it goes.
just a little longer, yeah, generally, but
Yeah, not like 7-8 inches longer.
yeah, yeah, absolutely insane.
See, my wingspan's way taller than my height. It's 4'7".
and
Disproportionate.
You must have grown since the last time I've
That's
seen
what
you,
I'm saying.
Ted.
No, my arms have. My arms have.
Okay.
so is that what you guys were talking about? The
Yeah,
big,
so
like,
what do you
so
think?
what do you mean by the question?
Figured out too.
No, so just him being clear, just because
Oh.
there was a thought. Dowd actually thought that he was going to miss some games.
I did, and that's where I thought Justin was going with this. Is I thought he was going to say, being an old Purdue fan, okay? And so there are a couple things that come with being an old Purdue fan. One, I think maybe some cynicism or negativity because of fizzling out and things not going quite the way you want them to, that sort of thing. So I sent a text to these two guys when JU had just sent me 2 edicts straight in a row. No more group texts. No more group texts.
Oh, is that why? Is that why we haven't
Yeah, so I
received
cut
any
him
group
off. I
texts
said
in a while?
I'm not going to do it. I've got
No, you
multiple-
receive them. I'm just not included because
Because-
I made him angry
because
one day
there's
because I got about 5,000 in a day once, and I
There's
was at
nothing
work.
quite like waking up in the morning to 53 unread texts.
Yeah, or being at work and you get 60 messages in a thread, and then you've got 2 in there from your wife in the middle of it, and you don't see them because you got 65 messages from a bunch of bozos in Indiana, 90% of which you don't even know.
And the names that aren't
Doesn't
your
like
wife.
group me is a good idea, but no, that's another.
See, and
Anyway, this is.
text with all these other people, and then the other one that has a little light on it.
I love these kind of explanations. So here's what you should do. You should deal with the annoyance, and here's how you deal with it. No, I don't want the annoyance.
Hey, buddy, I've got it. I've done it.
Anish, Michael, isn't it the best? Anish, Mike, isn't it the best when someone is? See how he's getting all like, "Fine, I just won't include you." That's what I want. That is the goal. I've succeeded in the outcome.
You've succeeded.
This is what I wanted.
Man,
To be
whatever you
left
want. You
alone.
guys can say I'm an old man, but that is an old man right there.
To be left alone.
No, this is an old married couple. That's what this is.
Bing. Yes.
Oh well.
So anyway, I'm going to go back to the original thing.
Yes. So you sent the text to them. What were you saying?
I thought the NCAA would definitely.
Yeah.
Come on. I thought the NCAA would definitely suspend him for 1 or 2 games because they hadn't suspended anybody else. That's it. There was really no other reason. It wasn't like I thought Purdue deserved it, Swanigan deserved it. I mean, I read everything about it. There's nothing there.
Meanwhile, like
But
pick
these
pick
two
anyone
guys-
you want. John Wall,
Right. That's my
name
point.
any player that arrived under questionable circumstances, shady circumstances, decommitted, recommitted. Cam Newton, Michael's just finished.
I'm done. That was enough. You stepped over.
Out. I'll
Cam
do it
Newton.
live.
Can't
Well,
do it.
right, like anybody like that, right? And there's actual smoke that there must be fire creating it, and not totally fine with the NCAA. But Purdue, a guy adopts Big E when he's 14 and 350 pounds. And as I said to Anish, as I said to Ryan, like in a phone call like a couple weeks ago, I said this was the ultimate slow play. What he did was he adopted Big E. He knew that he would turn into Mr. Basketball. It was such a slow play that he said, no, what you're going to do is you're going to commit to Michigan State. And then you're going to decommit so we can rub Izzo's face in it. And then you're going to commit to Purdue. That is my master plan. And the NCAA almost caught him.
Well, so to be fair, to be fair, it is a situation, if you just look at the facts, an agent adopted a McDonald's All-American. Just those. The NCAA should investigate.
But that's not the only two facts.
No, but that's okay.
No, but the other facts come out in the investigation.
Exactly, and
Like
that's
he was in
fine.
8th grade when it happened, and like.
But it's okay. It's okay. That's all details.
Anish, you made the point on your last podcast. This should have happened in May or June or July
That
or
missed
August.
the issue.
5 months to find out
That's
what
the
we did.
issue.
But the
And
incidental
when did they
point I'd like
start
to
the
make here
investigation?
is has I ever made a point that Anish has not argued with? Have I ever made a point that Anish
No,
has agreed with?
the whole thing is it should have been done. It should have been done 6 months ago. I mean, we've
It
had
doesn't have
so
a
much
maximum effect on a fan base if you do it that way.
And
It gets everyone's attention.
even we were just talking about this, another Purdue recruit that is still under investigation is Taco Fall. and
Oh, I
a
get
honors
that.
student kid, an honors student kid who is the exception to every like student athlete doesn't do their work kind
Yeah,
of
right.
stereotype.
Speaking of which,
Taco Fall is what I thought we had on our hands, right? And it's not because I thought that was a good case. It's because I don't trust the NCAA.
Yeah, and that's it. Anyway, next situation is a little bit easier to talk about. It's AJ Hammons.
is it easier to talk about?
Is
Because
it?
I'm officially concerned. Tell me why I shouldn't be.
Because this happens every year.
Yeah.
Ganesh and I talked about this. There's always something that goes on.
Really? Does it really? Can you seriously? You guys, your memories are better than mine. What this happened? I know that he started off slowly, but he's been suspended every year.
But first of all, he wasn't suspended. All right, he was just held out of the games. No, it's not an official suspension.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Don't use that word. Don't use the word suspension. Do not use that word.
It's a DNP coach's decision.
Baby Vince Edwards is very angry at you.
He wasn't on the bench though, Michael. Right? He wasn't there at the game.
He wasn't there, but he was not officially suspended.
Yeah,
he was put in the game.
He was dressed. He was there. He was sitting there. He just wasn't put in the game.
He was dressed.
Yeah, he was on the sidelines. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I don't pay $10 per game to watch him online.
I know. I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot.
Did he have a jersey and shorts underneath his warm-ups?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have. I generally don't wear underwear. I generally don't wear
You
underwear.
would have just had the warm-ups on, the breakaways.
Hey, you joke, but I made that mistake once at the co-rec. I swear to God.
So did you
Did you tear him off?
Yeah, no, it was one of those Friday night games where all the good players come out, so it was kind of a big thing. And, I got picked, so I'm getting ready to play, and I tear him off, and I got the boxer briefs on, and then the worst part was
I went 1 for 5 from the field. It was terrible. No.
I had to stand there and,
Re-snap him.
clip.
Yeah.
I've told Ryan this. I would pay so much money for just black and gold rip-away pants. I've always wanted rip-away pants because they're incredible. It just is.
But you had rip-aways at Carmel, didn't you?
No, they were like zips and stuff like that. Like they were.
You're a lot younger than you are, Ryan. They don't do breakaways anymore, do they?
No, they don't. It's just the zip at the bottom. It's really dumb. But okay, do you think
breakaways are bad?
Do you think that AJ is going to miss any games, and if so, how many?
I'm going to go with 2 since I said that earlier in my incorrect guess on Big E. I'll just stick with that.
I mean, yeah, I think he's going to miss this Friday, so I guess I'll go with 1. Only because I just think here's why I think it's a bigger deal to be worried about. Like last year when he didn't, whatever, right? I mean, Anish, you can tell me. I know you hate the motor conversation, but motivation maybe when he was just kind of whatever you want to call it last year at the start of the season, slacking or not pulling his weight.
Sure.
Painter started starting Haas. He started starting him, and if you remember, he kept starting him all the way into the beginning of the Big Ten season. Even when Haas would then play 8 minutes, and AJ would play the majority, he still started Haas, which is making a point, right?
Statement. Yep.
And what concerns me is that we're starting that way. It's a different reason, kind of, but we're still starting the season that way. And I mean, it just worries me in a lot of ways. What it does to Purdue, what it does to AJ's future.
So he ended up starting Haas, putting AJ on the bench, and then AJ had the best stretch, and Purdue had the best stretch of the last 4 years after that.
Right. Maybe that'll happen again.
I don't know. I think so. The guys at GBI have been very careful. Something tells me that they know exactly what this is, but they can't really report it because
exactly.
Whatever. But they're
I don't
not.
even want to comment on it. People are asking us on Twitter, and I'm like, we've heard things, but I don't want to
but they don't seem too concerned. Brian phrased it like he is convinced that Matt Painter is just getting out ahead of any problem, and that if this season didn't have the ability to be so special, and he didn't have the ability to be derailed by any down the street or down the road distractions, I don't think we'd see him be punished for this. And so I think this is just him getting out ahead of it. I think if he misses Mike doesn't think that AJ misses any time. No. I think maybe he misses a half. I think Painter folds him out of the first half.
You guys think he's going to play this Friday?
I think he's going to play this Friday.
I don't think he'll start, but I bet he plays.
Okay.
Hope you're
I
right.
feel fine then, honestly, because
Yeah.
let them goof around. Like that's the other thing I love when people, the short. I was saying this to Ryan earlier, like the short-sighted people out there who are like, "Oh, they don't need him to win on Friday." That's not the point. I know
Yeah.
they don't need him to win on Friday. I get that.
But do they need him to be the best that they can be this season?
He's
Of
their best
course.
player.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
So what's the difference between Purdue at their best with Hammonds and Purdue at their best with, say, 66% of Hammonds' best?
You
Is
mean
that the difference between-
Hammonds at 66%?
Yeah, Hammonds is that like mentally 66? Is that the difference between a Final Four team and a Sweet 16 team? Is
I think
I think it's like losing the first or second rounder of
Yeah.
Sweet 16.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at his best, if everybody plays at their best, I think it's reasonable to have high expectations or hopes, whatever you want to call it. I think if he's not at his best, or he's
I think there's a domino effect. We saw
because
this
right, it
last
affects
year.
everyone's mental
Yep.
game. Like
When he was really playing hard, I mean, and look at when he's playing hard, he's happy.
Yeah,
Bell feeds off of it.
I think you have that.
Guys are upperclassmen. So
I think when he's happy, he plays hard. I think when he's engaged, he plays hard.
and then he gets a technical foul called on him for dunking.
But I would take that
Take it
every day.
every game,
I love
I
that.
know, but that was
That's
still the most ridiculous tech I saw called last year.
Yeah.
No excitement.
That's
No,
Assembly
no,
Hall. What are you gonna do?
yeah.
Yeah, they won. Who cares, right?
So okay, so let's go into the projections for this team. How excited are you relative to, say, the peak of the Baby Boiler era? Is this
So
a
like
team
compared
worth
to like
getting?
going into football season, how excited am I?
Purdue shut its football team down years ago. I don't know why you keep bringing that up.
You remember that post? You remember that post I put up as a joke in the summer about when they were tearing down part of Ross Aid, and they said that
was
Purdue was
awesome.
dismantling the football program? Well, it doesn't seem so funny right now.
Profit.
It kind of-
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
That
know
was
why
2
you
years
keep.
ago.
I don't know why
Is
you
that your
keep
stomach,
making us
Michael?
right.
I don't make you do anything. You can send in your. I think the predictos will be funnier if you just talk about. Don't even say I'm not going to talk about football. Just don't. Just talk about anything else. Just write all
My
about.
predicto is
that one
really
time.
depressing this week.
It's going to be
What'd
like
you
a
say?
recipe. It's really depressing.
It's really just it's not happy. There's nothing good. to say.
We're not. This is not.
Well,
we
this
are
is
not
not a
talking
football
about football.
podcast.
We are
Yes.
not talking about
We
football.
We will
Yeah,
not
stop.
discuss football.
Stop it. Stop.
So, relative to the Baby Boilers era, I think I'm honestly, well, when you say relative to that era, you mean when we knew we had something, right? You mean like,
How about
towards the
this? How about this, Jay? Because we were pretty excited the year before, or right before the season that the Final Four was in Houston. The
Yes.
season that
they're
Raleigh
juniors.
blew out his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yes.
I don't know if I.
Were you that excited going into the season? Did you think going
Yeah.
into it that they could be
Yeah.
a final? I guess we did, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was a student. Like I'm
I
the
can't
same
imagine
age.
being. I mean,
I am the same age as the Baby Boilers. I was going into the 2010, 2011 season thinking that we were national title. Like
Mhm.
we could win
Not
the
just
whole
the
damn
Final
thing.
Four, but
No,
that you
we
could
could-
actually win.
We
it,
could
right?
we could go down the street to Indianapolis and win the whole damn thing.
Mhm.
And the year before is what this is like. The 09-10. No, sorry. The
10-11.
08-09, the Big Ten tournament
Title
champion.
team. Yeah. Well, but you say that this is, and I don't want to overanalyze it, but I but that's what we do here, right? But what do we have to see? That year you had a lot to base it on, didn't you? You had like a couple years of like, man, I am excited about these guys. This group is the first, really, with Biggie involved. It's the first year they've all been together, and it's only the second year potentially of success of this group, right?
Baby Boilers were only together 1 year before that, and we saw good things, but we saw just about what we saw from this team. I mean, like
this team is adding a major piece and expecting that to be one of the reasons why it's going from NCAA tournament team to might make some noise in NCAA.
Can you imagine if we added another piece during that time? Like, could you imagine? Yeah, I mean, if Cody came, I don't know. Zeller ended up exactly where he was supposed to. I hated that kid when he was at IU, but to be the face of IU's rebuild, that was kind of his manifest destiny. Um,
Well, I think Tyler was really the player.
Tyler was, yeah. I mean, like, he was there. I don't know if he could have. That was a nice use of the mute button right there.
Yeah.
But
Guy's a
yeah, I don't know.
multitasker.
I don't know if he. I don't know if he would. But anyway, I think this team is so much deeper than that one. I think. I mean, like, not that Purdue could get any more jinxed. I think if Vince Edwards, who is pretty much like by consensus our best wing player right now, if Vince Edwards blew out his knee, I wouldn't think that this team, a Sweet 16 for this team is out of the question. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the Robbie Hummel tears his ACL equivalent. Is Vince Edwards tearing his ACL? I think this team still goes to Sweet 16.
Whoa.
This team has such depth.
So much depth. So much skilled depth.
That team was 6 players deep, and that's why the Rob injury just killed everything.
Here's the thing. You guys, Anish, you grew up a Purdue fan. Michael, did you? Or can you remind me?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. So you guys, do you remember? I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but I'm trying to ask because your age. But do you remember 1994, 95?
I remember listening to those games on the radio.
Okay.
My mom would say.
Yeah, this team is comparable to that 94-95 team for one reason. That's the depth, the sheer amount of players that can see the court, right? I think there were 9 or 10 guys that were legit. That was like Stanback, McNary, Roberts, Dove, Jennings, of course Konzo, Waddell.
Yeah.
It was a solid. It was 10.
They weren't as. I don't think they were as talented as this group.
There you go. I'm telling you, I think
naked bare talent. Like these guys are just so skilled.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that team had the type of depth that is.
But they had the best player in the country though.
No. The next year is what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about Zoe's team. Yes.
Because that's the thing. G-Rob's team. That's a different animal. Because you've got
a guy averaging 30 points a game in college. Can I
put out a public request? I will pay whatever it takes to get a white old school Glenn Robinson jersey from back. Oh my God, I want one of those. I want one of those so bad.
My college roommate had a pair of those game shorts with a swoosh coming around, or the swooping.
I love
They were great. The white with the black P.
Those were so perfectly ugly. Like, you know what I mean? Like they
were very 90s. They were very 90s.
They're very 90s, but they won in them, so they become beautiful, right?
It's so cool. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you talk about the talent that group had, and Glenn Robinson averaging a double-double. All of us are almost expecting a 9-9, like an instant 9-9 impact, 9 points, 9 rebounds from Biggie, right?
Yes. I think it is not silly at all, and you've talked about this in posts and things, but I think it's not silly at all to say he'll have 10 to 15 double-doubles, at least to start.
Here are a list of freshmen who have averaged, it's not going to take that long, who have averaged over 9 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.5 assists as freshmen. Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, Eddie Griffin, Chris Gaston, Blake Griffin, Caleb Green, Kawhi Leonard, B.B. Walton, Andrew Bogut, David West, Venky Joyce, I don't know who the hell that is, Tony Mitchell, and Nerlens Noel.
So
that's it.
Eddie Griffin, the comedian, that's the only one.
He was really good. He was a really good basketball player, man.
Yeah.
But Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, Kawhi Leonard, Nerlens Noel, David West, Bogut, Blake Griffin, these are superstars. These are NBA superstars that came in averaging 9, 9, and 1.5. I have Biggie projected actually at 10, 11, and 2.5. And that list, and that was kind of more to show people what we expect from him, and realistically, that's not even close. That would be such a beyond phenomenal season. And
I bet he's a 12-7 or a 12-8 guy. So I think he'll score a lot more points. Maybe not necessarily via the offense being run for him, but offensive rebounding, he's going to be a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his rebounding ability is going to be
already
huge.
as a freshman. He's going to be a man.
He's,
on
you know what,
That's
he's
the crazy thing. Like,
yeah. You watched the exhibition the other night, and he was in the right place a lot. I think he
Smart.
really understands, the game, and
Between him and Vince, I mean, like between him and Vince, the basketball IQ on the floor is off the charts.
but Vince also, they're both great athletes in their own way, but Vince's explosiveness is
Came out of
crazy.
nowhere.
Yeah,
Came
I
out
don't
of
know.
nowhere. He was like
Yeah.
he was slowpoke last year. He was, I mean, like that was the joke in like as a senior in high school. He was the opposite of all of those top 50 recruits or whatever
Right.
that were super athletic and whatever. He was slow, methodical, absolutely impeccable footwork, just smarter than everybody else on the floor,
Right.
and
Right.
like effortless. This season he can jump like out of the gym.
And he's
So
got quick ups, which is that something that I always thought you couldn't teach it, but somebody's taught him. I mean, he gets up above the rim so damn fast. That fast break where he threw the ball into the seventh row, I was like, there's no way he makes that play last year.
So final topic: consensus top 2016. Is that fair? Are they ranked properly?
23rd? Is that
So generally they are anywhere from 18th. I think I've seen them as high as 16 to 26 to like 28. By like easily everybody considers them a top 30 team. Most people it's around 23.
I think they're a top 15 team. I mean, I think I've said that even before I really knew all the parts. Back in the spring, I said let's not get ahead of ourselves and think this is a Final Four team. But I did, a top 15 team, and I mean a consistent top 15 team. I think we're going to have a really fun late December. Like the win over Butler is going to be massive.
Oh boy!
How many times have you guys heard me talk this way?
Never.
Boy.
Okay, I think that's going to be massive. And I think it's going to be the coming out party.
There's a 3-game stretch versus Butler, who's a consensus again top 30 team, returning a lot of talent. Vanderbilt, who is possibly the only other team in the country.
They got a axe to grind there.
And Vandy can match Purdue's size, and they can shoot the ball out of the gym. Like Vandy is a dangerous tournament team this year.
want to see it.
That's
Because if
Purdue,
they don't
right?
have the chip on their shoulder right now that I do, I would be shocked.
And then Wisconsin. Those are 3 back-to-back games.
Wisconsin's scary to me.
They're always.
What if they win all those? How freaking insane will
They're going to be 8th in the nation.
I mean, and then you go into Iowa, Michigan, and then you get Big Ten cupcakes. But that's the 5-game stretch that kind of defines everything, right? From December 19th to January 7th. Butler, Vanderbilt, at Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan. So 3 out of those are home games. One of them is in Indianapolis. One of them is in the Kohl Center.
How about this? Very possible. Let's say they have the December that I think they're capable of having, which is loud, okay? They start off and they just are annihilating teams. And people start saying, Purdue just scored 89 points. Purdue just scored 92 points. Purdue's putting up, big numbers, okay? Then they do what they did last year, which kind of catch a rhythm right in January, right? And then, how about this? What if you do that, and then have a February like Gene Katie and Matt Painter have been known to do? Those type of Februarys where it looks they're unbeatable right now. You'll have a team that will just, they'll be in the top 5 to 7. It's not impossible. It's not impossible.
If honestly, we see maybe 1 loss in the non-conference, and then sweep that, or even do 4 out of the 5 of that 5-game stretch. That's a top 15, like borderline top 10 team.
Yeah.
If they're a 23, yeah. Well, they're certainly top 10, I think, if they do that. Well, who's your 1 loss in the non-con? Or you're just saying you're not sure?
It happens. I mean, It happens.
Could be Vandy. It could be, yeah. But you guys all seem to be thinking that Butler, that Crossroad Classic game is, what are they, 0-3 in the Crossroad?
They're due. They're due.
Only team
That's going to be a tough. That's going to be a tough game, but from a size standpoint,
Yeah.
Purdue's size is going to win them a lot of games.
Oh yeah. I
They
don't
wouldn't
think Butler
otherwise.
can match up with them. So
But Chris Holtman is the real deal. Like they kind of fell backwards into that, like Butler did.
Yeah.
And yeah, their tallest guy, like their tallest real guy, their freshman Nate Fowler is 6'10", and he's bad. Not bad, but he's mediocre. Tyler Wideman's their biggest guy. Purdue kind of had an eye on him.
Isn't there a guy on Twitter or on our site who accuses you of being a Butler fan?
Yeah, that's one of my buddies.
Oh,
okay, that's good.
I was like, who is this guy? Why is he so angry at Anish?
Well, so I grew up on Butler's campus, right? So I always have a soft spot for Butler. But and my mom went to Purdue, and now she's been a Butler professor for 25 years. When Butler plays Purdue, I am just all black and gold. She is all Butler. She couldn't care less about Purdue when Butler and that plays. So it's always a fun Christmas. But I think this team could be unique. I think I
like how we're all dancing around it. Go ahead, Anish.
The biggest thing to me that stands out is that this is a down year in college basketball, which is not to say make any excuses or whatever. I think this is a wide open year. Like I think there aren't the top heavy NBA talent isn't there. There aren't that many. Like there's not a Kentucky of last year. Kentucky shouldn't be as good. Kansas should be pretty good. North Carolina should be pretty good, and that's pretty much it. Then you
think Maryland's going to be at all worth that hype?
Who knows? Who knows what Maryland's going to be? Who knows if Vanderbilt is actually going to live up to it? Is finally going to take that next step and become an elite team. You have teams like Vanderbilt, like Purdue, like some of these 15 to 30 seeded teams right now that could make huge jumps. And a lot of people are actually kind of questioning Swanigan's fit and whether he can play the 4 and stuff like that. And Northwestern Ohio, how the hell do you know? But in the first taste of college ball that we got from Biggie, I don't think it's going to be a problem. God, he's something else. He's not. It's so weird. He's not overwhelming. Diamond Stone at Maryland, overwhelming athlete, just overwhelming, overpowering. Caleb Swanigan will chip away at you just constantly until you break. Just mentally, physically, everything. He will just chip away until you break.
He's a lot like Etwan Moore in that regard. That the game would go, you would watch the game, and you'd look up, and Moore would have 18 points. 4 assists, 6 rebounds, and you're like, what happened? I think there's going to be a lot of games where Swanigan puts up 15, 10, and 4, and you're like, really?
Just cleaning up. Just cleaning up underneath and rebounding and getting those, important... He's laughing about something. Well, I got a question for you. This is kind of... What do you think Biggie's... And I know this is looking ahead. Do you think he's here for 4 years?
No. I think he's
here for 3.
I think he's here for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 max.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 6'8".
We're already talking about him, so yeah, right. He's already talked about as a prospect. So
yeah, he's a 6'8", kind of prototypical power forward.
When does he turn 19?
That's a good question. I actually don't know how old he is.
He's young. I mean, that's one thing we do know, and I think there's something that could happen that's interesting between his first and second year. You've already seen him kind of go through a maturation process in that he was kind of a chubby, softer guy, and now he's thinner. So I think he could get chiseled as he gets older and has the ability
and that's the plan. I don't think Rosie Barnes sees him leaving after 1 year, right? That's the whole point of him coming to Purdue is that you get to develop.
Right. But the whole thing that Barnes said over and over was business decision, and Swanigan said the same thing. So.
Well, and even if Purdue makes a Elite Eight run this year, I don't think Swanigan's a lottery guy. Now, if Purdue makes the Elite Eight this year, or a deep, Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four run, that kind of a high-profile run,
right?
Swanigan comes back and is the guy that's being hyped all season, and comes back, transforms his body, shows some more, then he could be a lottery guy. So
Kind of my worst case scenario is Purdue having a noisy run that doesn't take them to a Final Four. Okay, I mean, you
right.
beat somebody you're not supposed to. Okay, maybe it's a team that's a little underseeded, but they're a historical blue blood. Let's say North Carolina has a bad season for some reason, like they did a couple of years ago. They get in low seed, Purdue crushes them, right? So you lose in the round of 16 or 8, and during that time, Edwards, Swanigan, they say, you know what? I think we've done what we can here. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the nightmare scenario for me, where you don't get the taste of something that looks like a possibility this year, that looks like a real possibility, and you lose the guys that made it possible. So
No, I don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I see that playing out, but I understand what you're saying. So Biggie will turn 19 in April. So he will be 19 when the next NBA season starts, 20 when I think he'll go to the NBA. I mean, 20 years old if he's shown 2 productive seasons, 6'5" or 7'5" plus wingspan, a rebounder, a distributor, a playmaking four. That's kind of like what Zach Lowe talks about. The whole concept of a stretch four is kind of being phased out and being replaced by playmaking fours. If you watch the NBA, players like Nikola Mirotic who can facilitate and shoot, players like in Detroit now with Ilyasova like right next to Andre Drummond, who's exploding.
Drummond's ridiculous this season.
I mean, so those kind of players who can play with a traditional big, but stretch the floor and then defensively stay with their man. The prototype right now is Draymond Green, but how many of those actually exist, right? But can Biggie be a Draymond Green? He could be.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure fits the mold, but
Yeah.
defensively he's really got a way to grow, and that's why I don't think he goes into the lottery this year, is because he doesn't have the lateral quickness. He doesn't have the lateral quickness. He's surviving off of his length and his strength to be a good defender, and that's what I think can come next year. Now I don't think he lasts more than 2 years, just because he's so he's we thought that. I thought that AJ would last 2 years and go, but that was more based on there are very few centers in the world that can walk and chew gum. Biggie is different. Biggie's a different case altogether. I can't see him staying because I can't see Purdue being that much use to him beyond 3 years. And I don't think Matt Painter would make him stay.
What if he turns into Mike Robinson?
Thanks.
Between
Anish talking about Vince blowing out his ACL.
Yeah.
Now, not to hate on Mike Robinson, who turned into a pretty decent player.
But he was a McDonald's All-American. He was a McDonald's All-American that turned into a solid for-year starter.
He was
the positionless player. There were some, yeah.
Some of these comparisons to Biggie are a little much. I mean, the big ones that I have seen so far are Zach Randolph and Kevin Love, and let's pump the brakes on those a little bit. I can see the mold that people are talking about, but let's kind of pump the brakes a little bit. I see Gorgie Jang. Gorgie Jang could be a fair comparison for him.
I don't think Love is a very good comparison, just because Love could shoot.
No, so in high school and college, he couldn't really shoot. He developed that in Minnesota. He became a dead eye shooter.
Well at UCLA?
Not really. He wasn't
Not
used
really.
like that. What's his name? Rick Barnes didn't use him like that.
I think Love and Randolph are good aspirational models for him.
Sure.
But Draymond Green was not
Just Randolph personally.
That
was a good place.
Hey, I think Gorgie Jang, DeJuan Blair, those are the two guys that I kind of see. If you remember, they were just bullies. DeJuan Blair was a little with the undersized thing, but Gorgie Jang being a key contributor on an absolutely stacked team. And Louisville was stacked that year. I think Purdue is pretty deep this year. Wouldn't go as far as to call them stacked, but.
It's a different sort of stacked model if you look at it, because a lot of the teams in this era of basketball are stacked because of recruiting, right? The guys come in and they're they're filled with high 4s and 5 stars. You know, programs like Louisville, Kentucky, Duke, those sort of things. But Purdue is stacked in a similar talent, but it's with development. That's the really interesting thing about this. You know,
It's like Matt Painter's a good coach.
I don't know what he was doing for a couple of years.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was asleep or what was happening.
Well, there was a lot of rumors about what he was doing.
Well, we know what he was doing, and he wrecked. That's the thing. I think he wrecked personal things, flooded into professional. Sadly, and that's everybody makes mistakes, and
I think a couple things didn't break his way either.
Yeah, I think he had a couple. Well, I think he had a couple really hard recruiting losses too.
Sure.
And it happens. I mean, like stuff like that happens. But
he had like 4 in a row that were like linchpin type recruits.
Yeah.
And they didn't materialize, and that changed.
Plus he had guys like Ronnie, and I mean, you can't predict that stuff washing out the way it does.
Jay Simpson's heart, like who?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking about him today. Like that still makes me sad.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's alive.
I looked at his autograph on my son's wall. It made me sad. So.
Yeah. So I think he had a couple bad breaks, but I think he's gonna be back on like the, one of the best coaches that, the best second tier coaches again. Right?
I think you would agree. He still has some. Maybe not many people are paying attention to it, but I think he still has something to prove because that stretch and even last year. We talked about this right after it happened. I said to Ryan something like after that loss in the tournament. I said I put some of that on a lot of that on Painter. You had a 7-point lead with 45 seconds to go. Sorry, but you got to be able to get these guys to close.
I don't know who to put stuff like that on. Right? That's very case by case. But yeah, I mean, like he deserves a share of the blame. Right? I mean, just like everybody else, he deserves a share of the blame and maybe a little more. But
that's the first game, and we're talking here about could this team go to the Elite Eight or the Final Four? Like, there's a big gap between.
I mean, Mark Few hasn't made the Final Four, right?
Well, I was just thinking about that the other day. They're 9th, right? Aren't they 9th?
Oh
yeah.
They're darling. They're a media darling.
Overrated team.
You think they're overrated?
Oh yeah.
No, I think they're going to be really good. With the Sabonis kid? Oh, no.
So really good is what? Going to the Sweet 16 and losing like they do every year, or the round of 32 and losing? That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. They do it all every freaking year. And Dick Vitale and everybody else, Gonzaga, they're drooling over him. Gonzaga wishes they were Butler, because Butler went to the final game twice. Gonzaga can't get past the round of 8. Can't get past.
This is the best Gonzaga team that they've ever had.
Okay.
They're full of a bunch of tall guys who can shoot. I think they're a Final Four team.
When they get past the round of 16, we can talk about something as noteworthy. Until then, I'll see them as what they are, a team that plays in a horrible conference that is always overranked and always gets the benefit of the doubt and always poops the bed. And then Mark Few, God love him, the guy stayed there forever, which is awesome. He built something, that's great, or he kept it going, I guess. Good for him. Loyalty is an unusual thing. That's great, and he's kept them solid. And they've got a massive arena that they didn't have, and that's good. But go do something in the tournament.
I don't know. I think we know
where Anish comes down on it. We know where Anish comes down on this. So I got, as far as how important the tournament is, I got one. What?
No, important is different than like how you can't predict it. I don't think it's
agreed. But you don't like to judge.
No,
a season
but yes, I agree with that. I don't like to judge a season based on a single.
But you understand how like last year's Kentucky team is never going to be remembered the way that they could have been because that's unfair, right? I agree with you. You made a great. We all were on one where you guys said I want them to win only because this team deserves to be remembered that way.
I wanted them to lose because I wanted to be in the arena when they lost, and I was, because I got to see people with the
dead,
angry. Oh, they were walking zombies. It was amazing. It was incredible to be in that place.
How many people had
the game because I was only in like the 300 level, which isn't far away, but I still couldn't see a thing other than on the big board. But I was enjoying the people around me. Just they were about to end it. It was amazing.
So you started off when we joined by asking how excited we were about this season. I mean, what's reasonable to be? So Anish, something that's a little more predictable or controllable, right? Is how you do in the conference season. Conference season, and of course, Big Ten tournament is a smaller version of the,
I don't
mayhem
care
of
about
a tournament. But what's that?
I don't
Oh,
care
really?
about the Big Ten.
Yeah,
I love this. I love this. Ryan doesn't care at all about it. Anish cares very much about it.
It's fun. Like the Big Ten. Oh wait,
It's fun.
the Big Ten or the Big
No, he
Ten
doesn't care about the
tournament?
conference at all.
I don't care.
No, give me Kansas, but I want Purdue to be Kansas.
Yeah.
I want to win the best league for a decade. Yes, please. And have one title to show for it.
I
Yeah,
want
sure.
Purdue to be Kansas when they win the national title.
I think
None of the other years.
I think Bill Self might get number 2 this year. Again, it's a down year.
Right.
These teams that are set up with continuity and some good newcomers, like Gonzaga,
Like Purdue, for example.
like Gonzaga, Villanova, Vanderbilt, Purdue. I'm missing a big one. I know I'm missing a big one, but whatever. Duke and Carolina, or Duke and Kentucky reloaded a lot. So I want to see what they can show. But again, Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, and Maryland, lots of people's pick for the Final Four, all relying on newcomers and completely unknowns. In the conference, I think Purdue finishes either first or second, and that anything lower is a disappointment.
Wow.
I think
it's fair. I'm just impressed.
Less than getting past the Sweet 16 is a disappointment. That's why I look at it. So getting to the Sweet 16 is kind of like that's break even.
Fun.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, like I don't like that line
you'd
of
be a
thinking,
little let
but I'm
down.
okay.
No.
No.
You can see the ceiling of this team. You can see it. That's the thing.
I am okay with Sweet 16 as like a benchmark, like getting out of the first weekend.
Good season.
But,
Yeah. Well, then you start. Then it's all about matchups, right? Then you look at who you may have drawn at that point, and we've lamented about past tournaments when Purdue has had a path and hasn't capitalized.
But the frickin' VCU year.
Well, of course.
Mike and I were talking about that off air, when Jawan Johnson had an out of body experience and not the good kind.
Right. No, he was a zombie.
They were done.
But again, if AJ, that's the thing. If AJ is out one game, like if AJ isn't mentally in one game, we have Isaac Hott. We have so many people, so it's not dependent on one person. That's why I love this team.
But you don't think there's so much? I just think there's a lot to be said for.
Besides that, I really hurt everybody.
Oh, Lord.
That's never gonna stop.
I have only written several thousand words on the subject.
I know. He's gonna be all Big Ten as a point guard.
He's gonna lead the league in assists. That'll be the cherry on top when he leads the league in assists.
I'm glad that the NCAA changed those rules, right? That only point guards can get assists.
No, he's gonna break some molds, change everything.
Yeah. Okay.
My older brother loves the guy Matthias because he thinks he looks like a 45-year-old they just took out of the Y with his physique. I said, get off the guy. He had a septum and he had the kissing disease. Just let it go. Time to,
he had issues. He had a lot of issues.
Yeah,
right?
he did have a lot of issues. So, and those aren't all gone, right? That's the lousy thing.
No, so that's why we were talking about Klein. Like, it's good that Klein is there. It's good that Klein's an option. Long term, it might be an issue, but it's okay. Like, I think it's okay for now.
Did you see that sick assist he had in that game? I'm sure you did. That little one where he like rose up and then dumped it down low. Like, it was the speed with which he did it and the decision making. I don't know. It made me giddy. That particular, like, it's like, he's a freshman.
I know. I don't think Painter plays him. Again, I don't think Painter plays him if he doesn't think that we have a shot at a deep run. But anyway, I think we've talked about Purdue basketball. We got a solid hour with
so now
after
we move
editing.
on to Purdue football, right?
That's right. That's on the it's on the Purdue Football Podcast, which
So
we will never publish because
Again,
what's on your
Purdue
flight?
shut its football program down 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I think,
So
at this
can I
point.
just share? I know you guys want to shut it down, and you can always edit this out. But can I share my stat of the day with you?
sure.
Please.
Purdue football. This is one that I. What?
It's a Dan Patrick stat
Oh,
of
you're
the
doing
day.
the stat of the day for me. Thank you.
Love that.
So Daryl Hazel now has had 3 consecutive seasons with a 5 or more game losing streak in it. Do you know the last Purdue head coach to accomplish that feat? 3 consecutive seasons losing 5 games in a row or more at some point in the season.
Coletto is generally my answer to these kind of
Right, that's what I thought too. That's always my go-to, him or Akers. Do you know never in the 130-year history of Purdue has that ever happened?
And the kid's pissed off about it too.
Ever.
No!
Here's another one. I actually have 2. Here's my other one. Purdue will now need to go. They will need to win their next 16 football games in a row. And if they do that, Daryl Hazel will have the same record that Danny Hope had.
I love it. That's the best.
See, you guys are just you refuse to even comment because I know you've already made your mind up. You're not going to talk about Purdue football. But is that not amazing? I know you know it's bad. I know, right? But when you put stuff like that around it, like anyone who's saying like this reminds me of things when they were really bad. This you've never seen something this bad before, even at a program that's not historically good. That's the astonishing part.
This is the really bad.
This is it. The bad old days are here. This is it.
It's the worst.
It is at the bottom of what it could possibly be performance-wise.
It doesn't matter who this team
We're going to put
plays.
this into a really depressing podcast. Don't do this to yourself.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
I'm not. I'm editing all of this
Yeah,
negative.
it's all going away. You know, I just clipped my stats, and we'll put that up as that'll be the football podcast for the week. It'll be like a minute.
No. Let's seriously, you and I, let's have a 5-minute podcast. Can
we
you
can
do
do
that?
it. We can do it. We can do it right after. Mike has to go, but
Okay.
So let's do the sign off thing. Go ahead.
Okay.
So I think we've talked about enough. I think we've wrapped up everything. We all think that Purdue's going to win with the whole damn thing, right?
Mhm.
Purdue's going to win the whole damn thing. Is that
Before you wrap, quick little shout out to Anisha's Vince capsule on the site, which ended with best case and worst case scenario being exactly the same, both being Purdue wins 3 straight national titles, and then Vince goes to the Pacers and continues winning titles. That was definitely my favorite part of that. I hope people who read all the way to the end because
I think that's fair.
I think it's very
I think
measured.
it's a level-headed thing.
He's blushing. He's blushing right now. He's getting a little red in the
He was
face.
born in a manger. It was great. It was exactly. I expected the love fest, and then somehow you actually over-delivered on it. That was
His farts smell like strawberries.
Hey man, I have never loved a player like this since Eats One More.
I hope he lives up to it.
I think he will.
I think he will too.
Anyway, Mike, take us out.
Thanks for joining us on the Purdue Basketball Beat, and thanks to our 2 special guests. We actually recorded for 4 hours, but the other 3.5 hours were so profane and inappropriate.
And by
that
special,
this
he
is what we
means
came up with.
he doesn't mean what you think. He means like special.
I don't know how they got the link to this call, but they're on. So
This is what we got.
thanks for listening.
Okay.
That was entertaining. Thanks for jumping on. That was hilarious.